Welcome back to another video. This is my first mock draft of the mock draft season. I really only do mock drafts when it gets pretty late in the season, once college football is completely wrapped up, because you don't really see the full picture. I think if I did a mock draft in the start of the year or at like even 2 weeks in, I would have Carson Beck going number one, even though I said on my podcast in the first ever episode, which is in September, that I think Carson Beck is the most mid-high level prospect I've ever seen. So, number one, Titans, they take Shedeur Sanders. Number two, Browns take Cam Ward. First two players off the board are going to be quarterbacks, and the Giants take the safe-ish pick in Travis Hunter. You can move him to corner or receiver. What I think they'll end up doing, what I think any team that drafts Travis Hunter will end up doing, unless they already have a stacked receiver core, is they will use Hunter as mainly a corner, and then he'll play like 10 snaps at receiver throughout the entire season. And not 10 snaps at corner per game. So, yeah. So, they take Travis Hunter. Patriots take Abdul Carter, the best defensive player in the draft, in my opinion. I don't care. I'm a Penn State fan, and I am proud of it. This is where I messed up. Last time, Jags are going to just move down with the Cowboys. You can't override trades, so even if I think a trade would work in real life, since the system doesn't think it will, I have to make bad trades because I'm only doing one round of the draft. So it doesn't really matter that I just trade it straight up, because the message of it worked either way. So they jump above the Raiders and move from 12 to 5 to take their guy, Ashton Jeanty. I honestly don't think Ashton Jeanty will be as good in the NFL as a lot of people do, because I was very high on him all season until he played against his first real defense of the season in Penn State, and he fumbled twice. Yes, his offensive line didn't do him any favors, but still, you're going to have to run behind a bad offensive line, potentially, in the NFL. There's no guaranteeing that you will have to run, that you'll be able to run after a top 10 offensive line. And, I was arguing with my friends. They were all like, oh, what are you talking about? They haven't played a good defense all year. Jeanty literally played against Oregon and balled out. And yes, I do think that win over the loss over Oregon, where Jeanty had 200 yards or 170 yards, was very impressive. Oregon's not a real defense, and I was actually having that argument with my friends the day that Oregon ended up playing Ohio State, and they showed that yes, they're not that good of a defense. But the Cowboys, it's a long yapping for them to take Ashton Jeanty here at number 5. And now the Raiders, I honestly think they could move down, or they could just stick and pick and take Tetairoa McMillan. If I was them, I would probably stick and pick and take Tetairoa McMillan, or move down a little bit and get Emeka Egbuka, because none of the teams ahead of you are in your division, so you don't really worry about that. None of the teams behind you. If you were to move down, you would probably move down with the Bears maybe, or the Dolphins, and they would probably move up for Mason Graham. But I don't think any of the quarterbacks in this draft are worth taking in the first round after Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward go. Jalen Milroe has so many problems that he shouldn't be taken high at all. Dart, I think, will end up going in the 5th round. He just goes off of one read a ton. He has a huge arm, but I don't think he'll end up going high. I think your best option, honestly, is probably take a receiver here at number 6, where go with Tetairoa McMillan, and then you take a QB in the 2nd round or the 3rd round. Even if you go with Carson Beck, I hate Carson Beck, so don't go with Carson Beck. Even if you go with Quinn Ewers or Dylan Gabriel or even Jackson Dart, maybe in the 4th or 3rd, if you just kind of reach for him. I love Dylan Gabriel. I think he'll end up being a great player in the NFL, but he needs to go to a team that actually has talent if he's going to do that, and I think he'll have to sit for at least 1 year. So that's why I think a really good fit for him might be actually in the second round going to Seattle, sit behind Geno for a year, and then take over maybe after Geno's contract expires, because I do think it expires this year. So they could trade down, but I don't think there are any teams who would really be fiending to trade up. So I think they're just going to stick and pick and take Tetairoa McMillan. Jets need quarterback, but they're not going to take one at 7 when all the good... Like, if Cam Ward got a video of him smoking weed out of the gas mask, yeah, he might move down to number 7 where the Jets pick, and if Cam Ward's at number 7, you should for sure take him. But at where it stands right now, where the draft board stands, there is not a first round worthy player, a first round worthy quarterback left. Will a team potentially take a quarterback in the first round? Yeah, it could happen. The Saints could take a first round quarterback. I don't think they should, and I don't think they will, but they could. Definitely could. But they don't need one. And they do need one, but there's no good cornerbacks left. Will Johnson is 6'2". He's good. He's a really good corner. He's the second best corner in the class. I think you probably take him here if you are the Jets, because Sauce has not been good this year at all. So you want to get another cornerback to kind of complement him. Now the Panthers, it says QB up here for a need. The way Bryce Young has been playing recently, if I can just go here, Bryce Young stats. If you look at the entire season stats, you're going to say, oh my God, he sucked. He was an awful quarterback all year. Gabagoo, right? He was a bad quarterback. He wasn't awful. But a lot of those really bad games, most of those really bad games, were in the start of the season where he just didn't have it put together. Plays against the Broncos sucks, or he was solid, but he was not good. And then he's been on a tear recently. He's been really good, especially against the Falcons, where he hit the Steph Curry no-look pass. But I think you might want to take a weapon for him, but if you are going for a weapon, then you should take it later in the draft, not right here, because I think you get Evan Stewart, or Isaiah Bond. I think Isaiah Bond would be a really good player if you take him in the second round. Tez Johnson, I would love to get in the third or second round. Honestly, if he's available late in the second round, I'm taking him. He played insanely well against Penn State. That was the only time I actually watched him play. Except for, no, I watched the Oregon-Ohio State game, but that was just so, it was an outlier game. Sure, we can really judge players off of that because it was such a bad game for this Oregon offense. So, yeah. But I think here they just take Michael Williams. They could take Siobhan Revel, but I think, I don't know, I want to go James Pierce Jr. here. I like James Pierce Jr. Here, I genuinely think they could take a quarterback. Do I think it would be a bad decision? For sure. I think it would be a really bad decision if they took a quarterback here. And I think you could trade down with a team like the... who would need a tackle? The Seahawks technically could trade up for a tackle. I don't think they will. But at this point, they go Michael Williams. That's kind of where his market value would probably be at. Mason Graham falls to you at number 9. At number 10, you take him. He's just so good. They now need offensive tackle. I don't think anyone here is insane. I don't think Kelvin Banks Jr. is really good. I think he's good, but I don't think he's insanely good. Could they take safety? No. I mean, they could. They won't, though. Nick Scourton, they could take. They won't. Siobhan Revel, they definitely could take. Honestly, he's 6'3". He's huge. I do think that he will maybe fall a little bit just because of the level of football that he played at. But what I think could actually happen is the Falcons see Nick Scourton and they're like, oh my God, Nick Scourton, you're so good. And so the Falcons call up the Niners and they're like, all right, that's not to my house. Falcons call up the Niners and they're like, hey, we want to trade up with you. We know that you want Kelvin Banks and that you probably won't take a player that that crazy here, that you'll be that crazy about. It's rejected. This is so stupid. Whatever, I'll just give him another first. I just need to do something to get the trades done. And now the Falcons, they need pass rush desperately. They take Nick Scourton. Now the Jags traded down from 5. And did they miss out on a lot of talented players? Sure. I still think they get a really good cornerback here in Malachi Stark and in Siobhan Revel. They take him. Malachi Starks is falling a little bit, but at this point, the Dolphins see Malachi Starks as a top 10 player in this draft. He's falling a decent amount of picks because there's just not a real fit for him right now. We kind of need safety. We like him. You're a member of the team. They have Colson Loveland above Tyler Warren. That's stupid. Tyler Warren at 14. And then Niners take Kelvin Banks, who they would have taken up at number 11 anyways. Then the Cardinals, I think pairing up Luther Burden or Emeka Egbuka, I think it could make a lot of sense actually to pair up Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison Jr. They were college teammates. There's no real, Tyler Booker's good, but there's no real, needs that are, great at this point. So I think you take Emeka Egbuka. You could take Luther Burden just because you think that he's a really good player, but I think that college chemistry could work this baby for this Cardinals team. Now at 17, the Bengals are like, hey, we have a T. Higgins player, does not want to come back here. We'll take Luther Burden. They could definitely take Colson Loveland, but I don't see it happening this high up. I don't think he's been productive enough. So Luther Burden, there's no real players that I would be hype about falling to the Seahawks. Yes, Tyler Booker and Will Campbell I would be happy if they took them. And I think that's what they will end up, that's who they'll end up taking. But this is a team that you could see potentially trade down with a squad up here. There are no quarterback needing teams until the Rams. The Rams could take a quarterback to develop for the future. So I think you could trade down to the Steelers pick and you can get Jalen Milroe there, but you don't know how pissed I would be. I would be so pissed if we took a quarterback. And actually I wouldn't. I might end up doing that, or I might end up... And that does make sense, because the Steelers... No, that wouldn't make sense. Because who would the Steelers move up for? They wouldn't move up for anyone here. The Commanders could definitely trade up, though, for Benjamin Morrison. So I think Seahawks call up the Commanders, because it's just the way I have to do it in this game, or in this simulator. Seahawks call up the Commanders, and they're like, hey, give us a fourth and a third next year or whatever, and we'll do this. Obviously, I don't know if that would go through or not in this simulator. They go up for Benjamin Morrison, who they don't think will be available at their pick because they think potentially the Steelers could take him, the Rams could, so they move up. Benjamin Morrison to the Commanders. Now at 19, they don't need too many players, but they also kind of do because they're not they're not a great team right now. I guess they take Derek Harmon. The tackles are falling far down the board. Eventually, a team might just spring on a tackle who they think has potential. I don't see a player who I'm in love with at this spot. Are there any good cornerbacks left? I don't think so. Denzel Burke is solid, but I think he's a solid second-round pick. I don't think he's a solid first-round pick. And if we look at wide receiver, Trey Harris definitely could be a first-round pick. I just don't think in the 20 range. In the 20s, you definitely do not want to take Trey Harris. He's more of a later first-round pick, maybe early second. But they could take Omarion Hampton or Caleb Johnson, two really good backs on not-so-great teams. But I'm just not sure on what the Bucks do here, and I don't think anything really makes sense. So with the players sitting still on the board, I think the Broncos could they would drop up one spot. That doesn't make any sense. The Chargers could move up for a tight end. You don't want to have Will Dissly as your starting tight end this next year. And I don't think Will Dissly did not do well, right? I'm a little too late. He's 28. He's Onk. He did not do very well. I do think this could make a decent amount of sense if they move up, because usually if you're moving up in the draft, it's because you think someone will go to a team above you. And I think at 21, the Broncos take Colston Loveland. So, Chargers, the Bucks could call up the Chargers, just how it has to work in this game. It's annoying and it doesn't make sense that I can't override trades and actually make it like realistic packages, or at least what I think is realistic packages, but I can't in this game. So we'll just do this. Whatever. We're not doing a second round anyways. They move up. They take Michigan tight end Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland is arguably, to a lot of people, he's their first tight end off the board. I don't like him. So I would not take him. We'll go Will Campbell to the Broncos. It just says that they need tackle, so I'm going with it. I don't care. Do they take corner? No, there are no good corners left, or at least none that I like. Wide receiver, they're not a wide receiver in the first round. Team, D-tackle, Tyleik Williams is a good player. But they also need guard, so, I mean, whatever. I'll just go with Tyler Booker. I don't know, bro. Sometimes you just gotta take best player available, and Tyler Booker is that. I mean, this is definitely a spot where they could take a quarterback, but I don't think they will. I think they want to try to win now. So they could take Cam Williams, but they could also take Jalen Walker. So I think I will go with Jalen Walker here just because I think it kind of makes sense. We will go... Honestly, we could go running back here. Their running back is... Exactly. Who is their running back? It's A.J. Dillon, right? Omarion Hampton is a very talented back who you could just bring in. Give it a little skirt. boom. Come on, reminiscing, no, won't pipe down. At this point, you might just take Trey Amos. I don't know if if he's good. Trey Amos PFF grade 84.4. So he might be actually really good. Whatever, I'll take him. I mean, at this point, whatever. If I'm wrong, sue me. I'm doing what I think I would like to see, just because I think it would be fun. Get a new quarterback in here. I want to be with you tonight, but I'm a little too late. I mean, you could definitely go, actually, with a receiver here. Trey Harris, although I do think it's a reach, I think for positional need, they could just take him. They take Cam Williams. I don't know why I think they will, but they will. Bills. According to this, it'll definitely be a reach because they probably have him insanely far down. Oh my god. Where is he? Brother. Oh, he's right there. I'm stupid. Quinshon Judkins, I think, is just such a good athlete that you take him here. I think they take either safety or D-tackle. Tyreek Williams, I guess. I want to be with you tonight, but I'm a little too late. They're not taking a QB. They're taking Walter Nolan. And then Chiefs, sure, they take Nick Emmanwori. Is this realistic at all? No. First overall, Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Abdul. You can see this. Nick Sorton goes to the Falcons after they trade up. Commanders trade up to 18, take Benjamin Morrison. They get Kelvin Banks down at 15, who they would have taken at 12, or they would have taken at 11. They trade down all the way from 5 to 12, and they take Siobhan Revel. Cowboys get Ashton Jeanty. Bucks get Amos Milroe. Goes to the Seahawks. I think that would be fun. I don't think he's good, but I think it'll be fun. Yeah, Tyler Warren goes to the Colts. Abdul Carter goes to the Patriots. So, I mean, that's pretty much it. If this audio sounds bad, I'm going to be so mad. But, yeah, I'll be back soon for another mock draft where I can't take players, I can't take back-to-back positions. So if I take Cam Ward to the Titans, if I take Shedeur Sanders to the Titans, Browns need to go with either Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. They have to go with a different position. Then they can't go with. Then they could go with quarterback, but then they can't go with quarterback and then say they take Abdul Carter, then they can't take an edge. They can't take, and it just kind of will cause some chaos in this draft. Anyways, love you. No Diddy. Bye.